everyone, it's Kelly. I am back today with a flip through of my 2020 Project Life album. I do have a flip through of weeks 1 through 21 on my channel already, which I will link to. I do also want to mention just a couple things before we start. The first thing is I do have a version of this flip through that's just to music, and it's just a quick flip through if you're interested in that. This will be kind of a longer chatty one. And I also want to warn you that you may hear my dogs kind of walking in and out of my craft room. I can't close my door or they'll bark outside the door, so it's just easier to kind of let them roam free around my room. So sorry, I hope that's not too distracting. You're also going to notice some glare on the pockets. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to do about that when you're working with plastic page protectors. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This is week 21, so this is where we left off in the last flip through. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to week 22. I'm not going to do too much talking about weeks 22 through 35 because I do have process videos for all of those spreads. So if you're interested in seeing how this came together and the exact products I used, you can check out my Project Life playlist, which I will link to that as well. So for this spread, I used scrapbooking products. I used the Paige Evans, I think it was the Bloom Street collection. I also threw in a few cards from my stash just to kind of help fill that in. And like I said, if you're interested in how this came together, you can check out my process video. Week 23, this is Citrus Twist kits. Citrus Twist, if you're not familiar, is no longer offering their Life Crafted kits, so these items are kind of obsolete. But for this week, the kit that came out this month, I think it was this month, it was craving themed, and I just so happened to have a lot of food pictures this week, so it worked out really well for the photos that I had. I really like the color scheme. I really like how this one came together. Week 24 is a Paige Evans collection again. Paige Evans, I think it was Oh My Heart, was my absolute favorite collection from Paige. And the American Crafts digital store had a Project Life themed kit available that you could purchase. So these are all digital products. Well, most of them are digital products. Some are embellishments that I had in my stash left over from the Oh My Heart collection. So there's some chipboard and some different things in here. But all of the cards that I used here are digital that I printed out from home. Do have an insert for this week. I did have a lot of photos. This page, all of the photos on this page are from the same day. I don't do that often, but I don't have a problem doing that as well. I don't like to scrapbook in multiple formats, so all of my photos and all of my documentation is all in one album. So for instance, I don't document in Project Life and Traveler's Notebooks or Project Life and scrapbook layouts. I do all of my documenting in the same book. So I loved all these photos. I wanted to include them, so I dedicated an entire page to that. Totally fine. Week 25 is Ellie's Studio. I do have a flip pocket here. I prefer to use the Close to My Heart flip pockets. I think they're called flip flaps instead of the Simple Story flips. I just like the length of the gutter with the Close to My Heart flips versus the Simple Stories. They just lay a lot better. I'm a big fan of those. I did go through and I added tabs to all of my flips just to help make it more noticeable that this does flip open and that there is more included underneath. Week 26 is Citrus Twist again. I think this is the only time that I used a square photo in a 4x6 pocket. I struggled with that one. I felt like I really had to make it almost like its own little mini scrapbook page. So I didn't really love that. So I did not do it again, but it was kind of fun to experiment. Definitely fun to kind of mix things up every once in a while. I include a lot of screenshots in my Project Life if you're not familiar with my style. So screenshots of text conversations, what the weather was like. I also get screenshots from the internet on shows that we're watching, that kind of thing. I do like to stamp a lot on my layouts too, which is something that you may have noticed as I'm flipping through here. Week 27 was 4th of July week. You may also notice that I have some sticky notes on some of the pages. If there's personal information like my son's school name and things like that, I have covered those up. So if you see that, just ignore it. Again, I have another flip here. So I think that that's cute. I just had so many cute photos of my nephew. I wanted to include them all. So there's actually 6 pictures of him collaged there, and I just like how that turned out. And again, photos from my scrapbook room, me and my pets, my messy scrapbook room, and just this page I think is almost all 4th of July related except for my Weight Watchers screenshot that I have here. And then this is actually the end of my first book, and on the back side of this, I just cut up a piece of white cardstock to add it in there, so that way you wouldn't see the photo paper and any of the cards. Like this, for instance, was a 3x4 card and a 3x4 photo. I used washi tape to secure those things so that it doesn't want to slide in and out of the pocket easily. It kind of secures them together, and that way, by using the white cardstock on the background, it hides that washi tape. So let's go ahead and jump into book number 2. Okay, so book number 2, I am never quite sure what to do with the intro pages. I never know how fancy to make them, how much time I should actually spend on them. I haven't really found a way that I like to do it yet. So I actually put this in the album yesterday. I was kind of ready just to be done with my 2020 album and move on to 2021. So I just cut up another piece of white cardstock and then stamped out 2020 on the 3x4 pieces of paper and then just slid them into the pockets. And I actually like how it looks. It's simple, it's fine. I think that I may do this same thing for my 2021 albums, but I think I may add part 1 and part 2 because I know that I'll go into 2 albums again this year. But that's how my intro page turned out for the second album. Week 28 was using Studio Calico products for the most part. I did add in some Picnic in the Park embellishments because they did match this collection really, really well, or I guess I should say this kit really, really well. And again, there's a process video for this if you're interested in checking that out in a little bit more detail. So week 29 is again Studio Calico, and I included a lot of different pictures. Again, I like to keep current events going on with what's happening with the pandemic in there. These 2 stories at the top of the page, those were both not very fun stories, but again, I like to document the good, the bad, the ugly. So those are stories that definitely were part of this week and needed to be included in the album. Week 30, I used a majority of Heidi Swap's Storyline Chapters collection. I did throw in some cards from my stash too. So like this is an Allie Edwards card. I think this might be an old Hip Kit Club card. Just anything that matched the title card. That's usually how I decide what colors to include with my cards, is I base it off my title card and then just kind of pull colors that coordinate with that. Week 31 was Ellie's Studio, and I did throw in some Amy Tangerine. The colors just matched so well. So these are from different Amy Tangerine collections, but they just worked really well with the colors that were included in the Ellie Studio kit. So week 32 was using Hip Kit Club. This was the first Project Life spread of 2020 using one of their kits. I had mixed in some cards here and there because I did have some older products from when I was part of their design team back in 2015, but this was the first week that I used one of their kits, and I like it. The colors are nice and bright and colorful. They're fun. It was a great summertime layout. Week 33 was again Studio Calico. This was the first week of school, and it was my husband's birthday week. Week 34, we were still celebrating my husband's birthday. We had some work-related events this week. We had our summer party, and then we also had a team meeting, again, including screenshots of what I'm watching and kind of what's just going on. I included the journaling for what's happening actually in both of these pockets here, all on one card. I think that that's fine. And when you read this, you're able to associate what's happening with the spread. Week 35 is another Hip Kit Club kit. This one is really bright. I'm not 100% sure if I love it. It's fine, it's done, it's documented. Not every spread can be your favorite, but the colors are just really bold. So I think it's fine. Summer spread, bright colors, it all works. Okay, so week 36 and week 37, this is where the process videos stop on my channel. I do have the processes recorded for weeks 36 through 40, but I just don't have them edited yet. So if you are interested in watching those, let me know in the comments below and I can get those edited and posted. I am very much a seasonal scrapper. So since these were kind of summer transitioning into fall stories, I kind of was out of the spirit for those. So I did not take time to trim the videos down and record voiceovers, but I'm happy to do it if it's something you're interested in. So this is one of the rare times past week 15 that I have single page spreads for the week. I only took this photo for week 37. So I had one photo for the entire week. And I don't know what happened. I normally average between 12 to 14 photos a week, but for whatever reason, I only snapped one picture. So I do have some photos that I pulled from upcoming weeks that were just kind of what I would consider filler photos, like this picture of my dog, the picture of my son at the bus stop, the picture of my dog eating, those type of things. So I just grabbed those and kind of tucked those in. Week 36, I didn't take very many photos either, so it just worked out really well that I could do these pages on single page spreads without having to stress about how am I gonna make this work on a double page spread. So these are using mainly Studio Calico products. I think this card was from my stash and this one was from my stash, but I think everything else was Studio Calico. Week 38 was Citrus Twist and nothing really overly eventful. I had my hair done, a screenshot of the weather, just kind of the same things over and over again, a couple of screenshots from Facebook. And I like how this turned out. I like all the florals. My Citrus Twist kit spreads tend to be a little bit more scrapbooky. They tend to have a little bit more embellishing because there are a ton of embellishments that were included in those Citrus Twist Life Crafted kits. Week 39, again, this one's not my favorite, but can't love them all. So I was feeling slightly guilty about the amount of scrapbook products that I have in my stash that I have not been touching since I moved to Project Life. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna grab a Paige Evans collection again, and I'm gonna use it in my Project Life. So I trimmed down some of the, I think they were 6x8 papers from the paper pack and grabbed some embellishments. I did some stitching, and I mean, it's fine. I can't really pinpoint what I don't love about it, but it's fine. Week 40, we were officially transitioning into fall, which is my favorite season to document. So I used a kit from Ellie Studio, and I just love the colors of this kit. I love seeing the leaves transition, the fall weather, just all the fun things about fall. Week 41 was a Studio Calico spread. So I didn't have a lot of photos this week. A lot of smaller photos. So some screenshots here of just things that were going on with school, what was a game that I had been playing, a podcast I was listening to, you know, some fall pictures with the rain and some flowers and my dog napping. I had worked in my scrapbook room a little bit there. A picture of my dog on the couch, you know, just kind of just everyday moments. Week 42, this was another Studio Calico spread. I loved both sides of this card here, so I decided that I wanted to use both sides, so I decided just to go ahead and use Studio Calico for weeks 41 and 42. And I think this might be the only time that I have my title card or my title not on the title card in the upper left-hand corner, but I really wanted to kind of leave that as it was because I loved the quote card. So I ended up adding it here, and these are some really, really old alpha stickers from Basic Gray. So I thought that the colors went with the leaves and kind of matched the colors in those leaves there. Week 43, this was another Hip Kit Club, except for this card. This is a Kelly Perky card, but this is mainly Hip Kit Club. This month, the kit's kind of coordinated with Amy Tangerine products. It's my dog barking. So the kit's coordinated with Amy Tangerine and also with Simple Stories. So I added a little bit of products from my stash along with the Hip Kit Club products to create this spread. And this one does have an insert as well. Week 44, this one was Kelly Perky, and man, looking at it now, I feel like the colors are just all over the place. I have orange, green, pink, brown, just kind of all over the place. So this one's not my favorite either, but it works. The week is documented, and it was fun working with new products that were definitely new to me. I had never purchased Kelly's kits when she was Kelly Perky, and now she's Paper Person. So this is Paper Person product. But it was fun to kind of play with something new and see how I could, you know, work with the different products. Week 45 was another Ellie Studio, and I have a couple flips here. Now for my 3x4 flips, I don't use the, flip flaps from Close to My Heart. I just take a piece of printer paper and kind of sandwich it between the two. And I do add tabs just to help people notice that those things do flip up and down. This was a super warm week. It was into November and it was 70 degrees, and I had my windows open in my craft room, and Northern Indiana, that does not happen very often. So we definitely took time to kind of soak it all in. We worked outside. I ate lunch outside one day. Here's a picture of our house with all the leaves in front. My cat, I don't know if you can see her there. I raked the leaves onto a blanket and then carried them out to the street. Well, she burrowed herself into the leaves. So I had to wait for her to get out of there before I could carry them up to the street. This week also had a very hard story, something that, you know, really hit me emotionally. It was a very, very, very tough week, and I knew that I needed to document it, but I did not want it to slap me in the face every time I looked through my album. So I created a little pull-up over here. It just slides out from underneath this pocket here. It says keep that chin up, and I typed out the story and just added it onto a journaling card. I'm not going to pull it all the way out because it's very personal journaling about what happened this week and kind of how I was dealing with it emotionally. So that is in there, but it's hidden. You know, I don't care like if my family and people that look at my album pull it up and read it, because the only people that would ever look at this are people that I'm close with. So it's something that, you know, I don't mind at all if they read it. It's not super noticeable. So if people don't pull it out of there, not a big deal at all. It's there. I can remember when it happened, and, you know, it did help to get kind of my feelings out onto paper. So I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I included it into the album. Week 46 was another Hip Kit Club kit week. I documented the weather. It was crazy. It was 72 degrees on Tuesday, dropped down to 37 on Wednesday. That's not unusual for Indiana. The weather kind of fluctuates all over the place. Another screenshot of what's going on with COVID. I have lots of pet pictures. My pets are very important to us. Just kind of things that were happening at work. Things that were happening with my son. He was exposed to COVID this week, and he had to quarantine at home. So I included some screenshots of conversations that I was having with my son, and what was also happening with text messages from the school nurse. This is another Kelly Perky kit. Sorry, Paper Person. I'm gonna wanna refer to it as Kelly Perky. And this one is a little bit more tame than the last one. It's still a lot of colors, but I feel like my eye flows a little bit better across this one. Her products are so unique. I love the color schemes. I absolutely do. And they're so much fun to work with. So I am excited to get those kits each month. Week 48, this was Allie Edwards products. This was the first week that I had received, or the first month that I had received her kit. So this is the Story by the Month kit, and I am in love with these kits. I used pretty much all of the cards on this double page spread. It's not a super product heavy kit, but man, they are good. So this was also the first week that I played around with printing my journaling onto my cards versus using my typewriter. I did use my typewriter on some things here, but some of these cards, like this one, and this one, I ran it through my printer. So I typed up the journaling in Photoshop and then added the cards and ran it through the printer. And I love how that turned out. I especially love it because I was able to add a lot more story. This was the week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was rough. We did not get together with family, first time ever. and it was hard. So I did add in some embellishments from my stash. This is from a really old Pink Fresh Studio kit or collection, and I can't even remember which collection it is, but I've had it in my stash forever, had never even touched it, and I really liked how the colors matched. The only thing is it had a pop of green in with it, which wasn't really included in this kit. So I just tried to scatter some green around the spread just to make it look cohesive and make it look like that color actually belonged with the cards and with the products. Week 49, this is I think this is like what I would consider the first week of winter. It was the first week of December. So I have a lot of different screenshots on here. This is actually a screenshot of Phil Collins' A Groovy Kind of Love. It was a text conversation that my husband and I were having back and forth. And I typed out the lyrics and printed it onto a card and kind of typed the story out there. The story that goes with this photo is actually on this little tag here. Just lots of different screenshots. I ordered on the Starbucks app for the first time, so I included that there. My cat in the tree, because you know he's got to get in the tree. What I was watching at the time, my mantle decorated for Christmas, so just a lot of Christmas type things. Week 50, this is a busy week. There were a lot of COVID updates this week. So a lot of COVID updates. There was an article released from the New York Times that had a little survey that you could fill out that you could find out where you were in line for the COVID vaccine. So I included a couple screenshots from that. I do have a flip pocket here, and I have a card underneath here that talks about kind of coronavirus updates in the state of Indiana. And my husband had to apply for new health insurance, so that's there. Some information about the vaccine. I had a doctor's appointment, so I journaled about that. These are two screenshots of where Indiana stood from one week to the next. There were a lot of counties that moved up a level in as far as the number of cases that they had and what the transfer rate was. Talked about some cookies and kind of what we did here. This photo is just a picture of the table when we were out to eat at Outback, and I typed our names and added them on there so you could kind of see whose plate was whose and what we were all eating. We went to Starbucks after, so I talked about the drinks that we ordered, picture of the Christmas tree, just that kind of thing. Week 51, we're getting there, we're almost done. Week 51, this was, I don't know, maybe I didn't include the dates on here of what the week was, but it's the week before Christmas. So I took a picture of the wrapping paper I was using. My son was on the honor roll, so I have a picture of his certificate up on our fridge. A treat plate that my friend brings into work shows that we were watching. This is a screenshot of the nativity story that I love to watch every year. It comes up on my Facebook memories, so I took a screenshot of that. I decided to take the 2021 One Little Word class, and I put my word that I chose there and kind of typed up a little bit about why I chose that word. My son had a school delay, and I just kind of talked a little bit about that. Oh, this iPad. So I had planned on getting my son an iPad for Christmas. My mom and I went shopping, and the whole city of Fort Wayne was out of iPads. Could not find one anywhere. So the nice salesman at Best Buy got on Apple's site and helped me find one, and it was in Mishawaka. So Mishawaka is about 2 hours from Fort Wayne, and I ended up going to Mishawaka the next day to get the iPad because, I mean, we were just days before Christmas at this point, and because I was buying him a big ticket item, I hadn't really bought him much else. So had I not been able to find that iPad, it would not have been a very Merry Christmas for my son. So I journaled about that story there, how exhausted I felt after, you know, these 2 big shopping trips. I am not much of a shopper. I'm one of those go in and go out kind of people. So to take 2 big trips in 2 big days, it was exhausting. Okay, week 52, we are here. This is the final week. And this week was extra long because if you've watched any of my previous videos, I started Project Life for the first time this year, and I started on January 1st, which was a Wednesday. So my weeks went from Wednesday to the following Tuesday, and got a little bit confusing every once in a while when I was trying to tell stories, because they weren't necessarily all within the same week, because when I picture a week, I picture it Monday through Sunday. So I wanted to start my 2021 album on a Monday. So I made this week extra long, so that way I could end on December 31st, and then I will go January 1st, I think, through the 10th. So my last week in 2020 is long, and my first week in 2021 will be long, which is fine. At least that way I'll have a Monday through Sunday approach. So this is Ellie Studio. This is a combination of their Christmas documenter kit and then also some kits, just monthly kits. And this was kind of all pre-Christmas, so we ended up adopting another dog, and this is her here. That's Maya. She's a little Shih Tzu. She's 3 years old. We got her on Christmas Eve, so there's lots of pictures of her. I tell the story about how it came to be that we adopted her. My son's band teacher sent us a link to a YouTube video of his bandmates and him playing a Christmas song, because they can't have performances in the school this year. So I just took a screenshot of that video, kind of blurred out everybody else, and focused on him. I did all of that in PicMonkey. A picture of my husband wrapping gifts. And then this insert here is mainly all Christmas. So Christmas morning with my son, kind of what was happening at Christmas this year, how we were changing things to help with social distancing and to help reduce the number of people that we were with. My husband works with my father-in-law and mother-in-law, so they're part of our pod, and we got together with them. And then we did get together with my parents as well, which was great. I think that Christmas would have been super, super, super difficult for me if I wouldn't have been able to see my family. So it's just a picture of my parents' living room, my nieces and my nephew, my parents. So this picture is the only other picture from Christmas. And then I also have some just different photos throughout the week. So I love the popcorn tins that come out at Christmas. My husband always buys me one for Christmas. So this was just a picture of that popcorn tin, kind of what was happening with the weather. And then the book finishes with New Year's. So this is a kit from Feed Your Craft, and I had never used any of their products before. I was always a little hesitant to use them because the cards looked like they'd be slick in the videos that I watch of them. So I was nervous how my stamping would do. I'm not great at waiting for things to dry. I tend to smudge it before it dries, but it actually stamped really, really well. I was pleasantly surprised. So just lots of pictures from New Year's Eve. This is all New Year's Eve. We went to my sister's house, just talked about what we did that day, some fireworks that were going off right outside our window that night. And this was the first time that I participated in Thursday 3. So I included that selfie there and a picture of my niece and my nephew. So that wraps it up for 2020. I plan on starting to record process videos for 2021 and having those on my channel again, and just looking forward to starting out. I am going to stick with the 12 by 12 size. I decided, since that's what I'm comfortable with, I'm just gonna go ahead and go for it. So I do wanna thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions about any of the techniques, any of the products, just let me know what week it was and kind of give me an idea of what you were looking at, and I will try to get you more information. But I just wanna thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon.